George Bernard Shaw has a quote that I've used in many of my talks and my classes, and it's a quote that really has touched me and impacted my life, and it's this: "I'd rather be a force of nature than a feverish clod of ailments and grievances complaining that the world will not devote itself to making me happy." That fundamentally, to me, describes this whole notion of ego to essence. And as we move into this next section of understanding the levels of consciousness, you can read through all of this and do all of the work, but fundamentally it boils down to this question: are you going to be a force of nature, which is what I see as the higher levels of consciousness, the levels of consciousness of courage and strength and clarity and vision, joy, peacefulness, loving kindness, a force of nature? Or am I going to be a feverish clod of ailments and grievances, those lower levels of consciousness of jealousy, competition, anger, envy, upset, hatred, disdain, apathy? When you're living in those levels of consciousness, in some ways it doesn't really matter what's happening in your external world. I literally had a client once as a therapist who had inherited $200,000, and yet she was experiencing it like it was a big hassle because she didn't know who she was going to give this money to manage it for her, because you can't trust anybody in the financial services industry. So it doesn't matter. It can be a great thing that happens to you, or if you experience it through low levels of consciousness, you will experience it negatively, or you can have very challenging circumstances. Even someone facing terminal illness, facing their death. A good friend of mine going through that right now, and she's doing so joyfully, peacefully, with love for all of the people who are involved in her care. So it doesn't matter what your external circumstances are. What you need to understand is that life is an inside job. And that inside job all boils down to this concept of your level of consciousness. How are you being, seeing, and perceiving your world? So this is a really important piece of work for you to do in this next section of Living Your Life by Design.